Good evening, everybody. Hello, this is Pastor Tanya with Worship and Wellness. I'm bringing my colleague Marcus. He is on in the house with us. I am so excited, Marcus. How are you doing today?
Yes, indeed. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited about tonight, and I'm excited about the topic. There's so many things there's so many different awarenesses that happen in the month of October. But one of the things that we're focusing on this month is domestic violence awareness. And I'm happy to have a male figure on with me today because sometimes we only think that it's something that affects women, but whether it's a male that's experiencing domestic violence in some way, or he's the brother, or he's the uncle, or there is a level of effect, or even the man that gets into a relationship with a woman who was a victim of being domestic violence. It affects everybody. So I'm glad to have you here today to even just kind of speak from being a person in the profession and working as from a therapeutic perspective, understanding the effects of different things that also can include domestic violence. So I'm happy that you're here with me today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And yeah, go ahead. You was gonna say something?
no, yeah, I was just gonna say I had a lot of eye-opening effects researching this topic because it's something that I never delved into before. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I just wanted to kind of start out with a definition and just kind of talk about some other things that I learned. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the definition of domestic violence: domestic violence is a pattern of behavior used by one partner to gain or maintain power and control over another intimate partner. It can manifest in various forms. So we have physical abuse, which is
Mm-hmm.
hitting, slapping, choking, or any form of physical harm.
Mm-hmm.
We have emotional or psychological abuse, which is intimidation, manipulation, humiliation, and verbal abuse that diminishes a person's self-worth. We have financial abuse, which is one that surprised me because it's not something we typically think about, or at least
Mm-hmm.
me, when we talk about domestic
Mm-hmm.
violence, right?
Yeah.
So we have financial abuse, which is controlling a partner's financial resources, restricting access to money, or even sabotaging employment opportunities. And
Yeah.
then we have the sexual abuse, right?
Yeah.
As I said, the financial abuse was surprising to me because it's not something that I usually correlate with domestic violence.
Yeah.
Um, it said domestic violence affects millions of individuals regardless of age, gender, or background. For example, approximately 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men experience severe intimate partner physical violence. And also says that domestic violence is a leading cause of injury among women.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that interesting? Those numbers, 1 in 4 for women, but 1 in 7 for men. And I would even, venture to say it's probably higher because when you think about males and you think about men and you think
Oh yeah,
about sometimes the pride, we're not going to report. By we I mean the men are not going to report as quickly as maybe a female will, right?
or even ever.
Right, period,
Right,
right,
right.
at all. And so just thinking that what is being reported is 1.7, you can only imagine how high, much more higher it is,
Yes,
of those that don't, and it's on both sides, right? Because there are some women that won't report, right, for whatever their reasons are. And I
absolutely.
like the fact that you brought up the financial, because that is one of the components that's really big when you
Hmm.
talk about domestic violence. It's a cycle, and so in that cycle, there are stages of that cycle. There's what the first portion of that cycle is called the honeymoon phase. And from the honeymoon phase is, I love you. You're the best person that ever happened to me. I'm going to give you the world. We're sharing our life together. And then there's the cycle. The next stage is the build-up cycle. And from the build-up cycle, that's where there's a lot more attention. It's just happening much more frequently. It's happening
Hmm.
on, like you're finding yourself in more arguments. That person is being much more manipulative. Well, if you don't do this, then I'm not gonna pay for I'm not gonna pay for your hair. I'm not gonna pay your bills. You're gonna figure it out. I'm not giving you money. You can't have this. I'm gonna withstand. And oftentimes that's from a financial, it happens in all the areas, but definitely financial. If you're in a relationship, especially if that person has been the breadwinner in the family, or the provider of that family. And it can be, and again, it's not about man versus woman, because the woman can be the breadwinner, and sometimes that can be a means to manipulate that individual to do what they're trying to, or coerce that person to do what they're trying. It's about power and control. After that, the cycle of the buildup, then there's what's called the explosion. And that explosion stage usually is when it is the most intense portion of that cycle. That's where we will see the physical abuse. That's where we will see, a person maybe punching walls, or, and that's the aggressive part. Maybe we will see and or hear about the sexual abuse that happens. So there is so many components to what that explosion can look like. Usually it's the biggest piece of it. And then it closes the cycle back to the honeymoon stage. I'm sorry, I didn't want to do this, but you made me, when it's your behavior that made me do this. It's all of these other things, right? One thing that is not there is the accountability piece, right?
Absolutely.
And a little bit about me and my background. So when I lived in New York, one of the things that I did was I was a domestic violence counselor, and I worked in our district attorney's office. And so I started out really just serving as a counselor for women who were going through the court process. Because what they found is most times that is the most intimidating time. So women would not go through some of the cases that they needed to in order for the courts to convict, because they would drop the cases well before it would get there. So having a counselor as a part of that process helped the women to feel the level of support that they needed in order to get through that process. And then from doing that, because of my work ethics and my experience and the knowledge that I brought, they put me on high profile cases. And those high profile cases were cases that generally, unfortunately, ended up in death. And so these were cases that the batterer ended up killing the victim. And then they would send out a counselor along with a police officer to go either to the scene of the crime or to the precinct to deal with family members or whoever. So I have a lot of background in this area. So it is very dear to my heart. And unfortunately, I also was a victim of domestic violence at one point in my life, that by the grace of God, I'm able to stand here today and I'm still alive. Right. But some don't make it out, and some don't make it out. And so that's why today, really talking about how do you find the strength to leave, or what helps you to find the strength to go, is really important, because there are people who may be watching that might feel like, I can't get out. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get out. I can't do it. I'm going to be stuck here forever. I think about the times when I was going through my own thing. I mean, you as a person really experiencing this traumatic experience, your brain goes. So yes, I knew God, but I was trying to figure out how to kill the person, right? Like I needed a way out. And in my mind, I thought the only way out was to kill him. Now I didn't kill him, thank God. But,
I said, thank goodness.
Thank God, right? By the grace of God. But these are things that, when you feel desperate and you don't know how to get out, these are thoughts that come to mind. And I dare not think that we all, just because we know God, or but many people know God or believe God, everything is not, oh God, I just trust you, I believe. Oh no, I was fine. I was thinking on some things. My mind was not in a good space, right? But I was afraid, and I was afraid for my life at the time. And so I understand very well. Any thought? And I said a lot of thoughts, but we definitely have a guest, so I want to make sure that we bring her in. But any thoughts about what I said before I bring her in, Marcus?
Yeah, I was thinking about the cycle, and how easily we get caught up in cycles. And how hard it is to even realize we're even in a cycle, right?
That's so good.
So what I hope for this series on domestic violence is that somebody is able to identify that they're in this cycle.
And then so good. That's so good. All right. Well, let's with no further ado, I want to bring on our guest that we have tonight. Her name is Renee Sessoms. And I'm going to bring Miss Sessoms on. Give me 1 second. And I want to try something because we also have a therapist that is scheduled to be with us today who's here but was having some technical difficulties. So I just want to bring her. Miss Kathy, I'm going to bring you to the forefront, and if you can just speak so I can hear if we can hear you. Miss Kathy, are you with us? Miss Kathy?
Well, I'm seeing you, and I hope you're hearing me.
We are.
I did turn off the video.
Yes, ma'am. So we hear.
I'm wondering if I could just talk by phone, if you could link me up by telephone.
I'm not sure that we know how to do that this way.
Yeah, the
but
hearing goes in and out.
Yeah. Unfortunately, because it's
All
not
right.
Zoom,
Okay.
we're unable to do that. But I'm going to put you backstage for right now, okay? Okay, I'm not sure. I'm sorry. Sorry, Miss Kathy. Okay.
Sorry, Miss Kathy.
Hi, Renee. How are you?
Hi. How you guys doing?
Good,
Really
good. How about
great.
yourself?
How was your day today?
Bless. It was a day. It was a day. I had my boys and got my carpets clean, so that was great. But then they couldn't play because everything was wet. So I head over to the folks.
Yep.
Chill with my mom all day till my daughter got off work. But it was a good day. Any day with my kids is a good day.
This is true. This is true.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm super excited to have you with us today. I believe all things happen for a reason. And I'm grateful that you said yes to the assignment because it's not a topic that we talk about regularly. When
Right.
we're talking about domestic violence, and there are some people that are. It's so funny. I had somebody that came to me yesterday that was like, I just got to let you know that I too was a survivor. Like some of us still have, there's still such a stigma that's attached to being a survivor of domestic violence that we still are not even comfortable enough to say, I've overcome this, right? We still see it as a stigma or something negative that we still have to, there's a level of shame or guilt or that we have to hide. So, very, very few times are people willing to, they'll say they want to tell their story and then you're there and it's like, maybe tomorrow. I'm
not
like,
so much.
tomorrow's not here. So I just
I
want
can
to
imagine.
publicly say, I want to publicly say thank you so much for
Absolutely.
Oh, no
saying
problem.
yes,
No
saying
worries.
yes to the call. For those that are joining us again, this is domestic violence. One of the awarenesses is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And last week we had two of our team members met with Tracy Diggs, who talked about her experience. Today we are meeting with Renee with the focus of finding the strength to leave, right? Finding the strength to leave. And then, if you can include how you were able to identify the cycle that you were in, and then finding the strength to leave, and then kind of the effects of your children. So if you can start with your name, tell us who you are, tell us what you
Right,
do.
correct. Because I was
Right.
giving a lot. That's
Going
giving a
back.
lot, Tanya.
We
Yeah,
can
like
keep
she
tweaking it.
said,
We
like
kick it
she
around.
said, my name is Renee Sessoms.
Yeah.
Yes. You said you want me to tell them what I do. Right now, I bartend at
Okay.
American Steakhouse in Overton. Come see me.
Yes.
Definitely. So yes, I am very familiar with domestic violence. It is not something that I'm ashamed of because I have shared my story and I do feel like I've helped people, just try to get through whatever it is they may be going through or whatever it is they think they should hide. Like you said, it's like some big secret. You know what I'm saying? So just a little backstory. I'm 40, so this was definitely in the early ages of my life. This situation caught me before I even knew what being an adult woman was.
Yeah.
So this was within my teen into my adult years.
Yeah.
So he caught me young.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I feel like it was an immediate control. I remember losing my whole self. I have a very strong personality. You know what I'm saying? I do. And I remember being someone who's always like, give me the mic, to somebody who's just like, I want to be in the corner. I hope no one sees me here. And he was that shadow over my sunlight. That's how I like to explain it. You know what I mean? I'm like the sunshine, and he was like this, you know what I mean, this cloud that just came over and hovered there for a period of time. Probably between the ages of 16 and 18, I did this thing called fall in love, I guess you want to say. Older than me. So, you know what I'm saying? Grooming quite well. And I was hooked. This is forever love. This is what love is. And like you said before I even got on, you paint this fairy tale. You know, the honeymoon phase was wonderful. Oh, we're best friends. We're this. I'm this to you. I'm that to you. Oh my goodness, I done found the love of my life young. Like I'm winning.
I'm set. I'm good.
I'm set.
Yeah.
Here I am. You know what I'm saying? 19, 20.
Sure.
For me, you see what I'm saying? Just as charming as he ever would want to be to anybody and anyone who come his way. You see what I'm saying? So that if it wasn't, Facebook and stuff wasn't really like a big deal. Like that. It wasn't really a thing. So we didn't have to be like a social media couple where, you know what I'm saying? We even had to put on a facade for the world like people do today. You know what I mean? And then you're like, we don't know what's going on when that camera cuts off. You know what I mean? Like we have no idea what's going on. And so it became just like grooming me from a child to be exactly what he wanted.
Sure. And then how did you get to the point where you realize this is unhealthy?
We had a kid.
Okay.
And this is unhealthy.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to be like, I'm gonna take this, or he didn't mean it, or he's sorry, or he's never gonna do it again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then it's a whole nother thing. While you're crying, you're saying it, and you're looking at your daughter, and you're like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, am I about to tell you this? Like, is this the conversation I'm about to have with you?
Right.
You know what I mean? Or am I going to tell you, baby, run? And unfortunately, so many people in my life told me to run. That's what the problem is. Like, I hate that. Like, well, why did you just leave? You know what I'm saying? Or what? You know what I mean? Like, and you didn't have a support system. I had. Tanya, you know where I come from. I had an amazing support system, and I still did not and would not leave. Because my mind was gone. He was my everything, and he made me to believe that there was not. You know what I'm saying? There was nothing after him. Like I am the all tell to you.
Let me ask you a quick question. Let's put a pin right there. Right. So you had your daughter, and you had a support system, right? Because sometimes people, they don't have that support system. They feel mentally they're like, because the goal is to isolate, right? The batterer's goal or the perpetrator's goal at that point is to isolate their victim, if you will, from everything that is their comfort level, to make them feel like I am the all, right? So that what I'm hearing is not uncommon. That's number one. But number two, there's the other side where some people will say, I didn't have a support system. So for you having a support system, what would you say, if you are aware, and maybe you are now, but what was some of the challenges you found that they may have experienced? Because it affects the whole family, right? Or it affects the support system, whoever your support system is. If you got a good girlfriend, it's going to affect that good girlfriend. If you have, whether it's friends or colleagues or family members, it's going to affect them. So were there effects that you saw or later became aware of that affected with you and your support system?
Do you want to know, like, during the situation, how it affected them, or after I decided to leave, after it affected them?
Well, both. What
So
what is your knowledge about, you might not have known then, but now, how you being in that situation of may have had some effects on them or your daughter?
Even then I knew it hurt them. They
Mm.
were not quiet
Mhm.
about their disapproval of the
Sorry. Okay.
relationship.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
weren't quiet. They didn't stand back in the side. It's just, I was like, if you can't accept him, you can't accept me.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I had attached myself. Now we're a package deal.
Yeah.
So if you want your daughter, if you want your sister, if you want your, you know what I'm saying? Like, he comes with it, you know, and it was almost accepting. You almost had no
Yeah.
choice, because if we want
Yeah.
Renee to come to Sunday dinner, he has, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even knowing, oh man, like he, you know what I mean? Because I would call
Yeah.
them. Like,
Yeah.
if we got into a situation, I would call my sisters. And of
Sure.
course they would be like, you need to leave. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
oh, we want
Right.
to put our hands on it. Everybody want
Right.
to fight. Everybody want
Yeah.
to da. And then it got to the point now where we going to stop fighting for you because you keep going back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times are you going to go back, Renee? Like, how many times are we going to have to tell you that this ain't it? You see what I'm saying? Even before I had the baby, because I know the audience is thinking, well, girl, why did you have a baby with him? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
here you are. You know what I'm saying? And
The heart
you
wants
let
what
this
it wants.
happen.
The heart
Yes,
wants what
but
it
even
wants.
then, it lets you trick your mind, because even with having a baby, then I say to myself, oh, I have to make it work.
Yeah.
He's gonna get better. I have to make it work for her. So no longer me. Now maybe I can put up with this, or maybe this isn't so bad, and maybe he's gonna, you know what I'm saying, for her, because now I want a happy home. Now I want mom and dad and kid.
Yeah. That's good. That's really good. And then, when did you realize, right? Because you said you realized the cycle. Now I'm in a cycle because you're looking at this baby girl like, oh snap, I'm saying this, but now I got this baby girl that I might now have to be reiterating some of these same conversations. What got you to the point of saying, you know what, this is not working, and I gotta go?
Oh my goodness. I feel like even when I did, so there's two parts to this.
Okay.
There's me actually leaving the relationship, saying we're not together.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not together. We're not boyfriend and girlfriend. We have a kid, but we're not together.
Right.
But then there's actually me leaving the relationship.
Sure, I understand that. Yeah.
Two separate situations. You see what I'm saying?
Take us
so to just be like, okay, we're not together. I live here now. You live there, because we live together. So to just do that little sentiment, it was just a matter of, you know, us getting into a hellraiser, and me being like, I just can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But even then, he in my mind. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? And what y'all said about the why people stay, he had a real strong hold on me with his own life. Like, he would bargain his own life for our relationship all the time. And it was very like, you know what I mean? Like, I will kill myself. Take me back. I will kill myself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If we are not together, I will end my life. Like, that was, you know what I mean? That hold, it's so, you know what I mean? Because you still have these feelings and these emotions and this love. It just don't go anywhere. It's there.
Of course.
And so, of course, you're like, well, I don't want anything that happened to him. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I should, I'm going to just hear him out. You know what I'm saying? And that's really all he did. I'm going to just hear him out one more time.
Yeah. Maybe this is the time.
And then I'm not going to lie. I'm going to tell you the day. I'm like, oh, and it was like clockwork. I actually went to I brought Renee over to see him. And
by Renee, she means her daughter Renee.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I did name my daughter.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I don't want nobody thinking that you was talking about yourself in a third person. That's all.
Absolutely. And then I want to say this only because we are in a situation now where he is very, you know, was doing what he needed to do in her life. You know what I'm saying? So terrific father to her, but absolutely horrible spouse to me.
Yeah.
So let me, you know what I'm saying? So let me iterate that. Absolutely. Okay. So, you know, he did what he needed to do for her.
Right.
It was me that was the problem. So we went over to bring Renee, and there was a woman there. And like he was like, "Oh, that's just my roommate, and it's nothing." Da, 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 da. I didn't really. We not together, so I'm like, you don't even have to. You know what I mean? You don't have to do this. But at the same time, he is still in my ear, talk about, you know what I'm saying, selling me dreams that aren't ever going to happen. And I remember meeting her and thinking to myself, like, this is strange. Like, why is this like everything about the situation was not moving correctly. And then this is nothing, but I tell people all the time, is God, I ended up being in a situation where I had a one-on-one on this woman, and she just basically confessed her undying love and confession for this man. And I was just looking, and I wanted to cry for her.
Yeah.
Because I was already young, but she was younger than me. And I wanted to cry to her, like, oh my God. He already got another one on the hook. Like, you run. That's what I wanted to scream to her at the top of her lungs. Baby girl, run. This is not what you want. This is not what you think is happening. And even her looking at me like, well, why are you here? Are you guys still messing around? Like, even her being like, really? And I'm like, girl, I don't want him. Girl, you know what I mean? Like, you need to run, but at the same time, you know what I'm saying? I remember like speaking to him tonight, like, this can't, no. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to save her. You know what I'm saying? At this point, I'm not even worried about myself, because I know who you are. I see you. Yeah. I see you.
Yeah, I hear.
And it was just it was a huge turning point. And I remember I used to talk about my friends. Like, I distanced the ones who hung with me. Like, even to this day, I always be giving certain friends props, because I lost a lot of people during that time. And so the ones that I still have, I'm like, yo, I appreciate y'all standing by me, even though I was a complete, you know what I mean? Like, not an idiot, but my mind was gone, and I wasn't who you knew. I wasn't the Renee y'all knew.
Sure, or the Renee that Renee knew. How about that, right?
Period.
So here's the other component, right? That I hear. Number one, again, I appreciate you sharing your story. The truth of the matter is, what people who either have not experienced or may not understand is that you believe you are who you are, but at some point there is a transition where you realize this is not who I want to be, or who I recognize myself to have been before. Renee, you started out by saying I'm a very strong personality, but then you found yourself not doing that strong personality, right? And so at some point you realize I'm not really myself, and I don't really like who I am or who I've become. Or maybe you realize I didn't know who I was before, but I know who I am I don't like. Right. And so there is it always is a transition mentally first. There's a phrase that people say when a woman is getting ready to leave a relationship. She usually leaves. It's the mental that goes first before she ever walks out the door. She's usually mentally already checked out. Then the body follows. With domestic violence, oftentimes it's no different, right? When you are, or any kind of abuse, you have checked. Once you get to that point, you recognize I can't stay here. And now I have to process, how do I leave? Is it safe for me to leave? For some people, it sounds like for you, it wasn't so much, oh, I was worried if I step out that there was a safety issue, even though there was an abusive issue. Whether that abuse was all
more on his end, because like I said, the manipulation of him taking his own life was always a thing.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say. On your end, it was more mental abuse. It was much more emotional abuse. But for some, it is physical abuse, right? Like I went through an experience where I shouldn't say that, Lord. I don't wish, but the person was jeopardizing my life. They held me over a terrace on the 8th floor, right? Like, so now my life is being jeopardized. If it's me or you, in your mind, you like, bruh, I'd rather you take you, right? Don't take me with you. I don't want to go. But in you want to feel that level of safety. and belonging. If you don't have that in your house, what do you have? Right. And so that's why I was asking you, what helped give you the strength to say, I'm out?
Probably the people that surrounded me. Because like I said, shout out to my friends and family, because like you pinpointed, a lot of people don't have that. So it is hard for them to turn the other cheek, because where they going? Who's taking them in? Who's taking care of their kids? You know what I'm saying? And I never had that issue, because my family was always like, girl, when you wake up from this nightmare, we will be here.
Yeah.
You know, so I always knew that I knew there was a way out. You see what I'm saying? I just wasn't, I couldn't grab it. I couldn't focus in on it.
I got your mom. She said it was very hard to see your children going through, but I knew it wasn't nothing I could do. But I prayed and gave it to God, because it didn't matter what we wanted. It didn't matter what we wanted. She had to want it for herself.
Mm-hmm.
That is so powerful. Marcus, any comments you want to say, just about this? As you're a parent with semi-young children. I can only imagine your thoughts on this comment as a parent.
Yes. That is so touching. And it's wild, because no matter how bad our support system wants us out of that, like you said, it has to be a decision that you make within yourself, and then your support system can kick in and do what they do. But it's crazy, because until that point comes,
there's not pray about it.
They're on the outside.
Because I can remember the countless arguments with my parents about him, just over and over and over and over. You see what I'm saying? And he would have to think like he had a good relationship with my folks, which was weird to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, you know what I mean? Like most women, I kept most of our physical altercations to myself.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't like, let me get my mother on the phone and show her my eye. It was never, you know what I'm saying? Like, why you ain't come over this Sunday? Oh, because I didn't. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, social media wasn't a thing, so it wasn't hard to hide from my friends and from my family. You know what I'm saying? Work home. It didn't, you know what I mean? And I didn't, when it was at its worst, I didn't have a kid. We didn't have anything with each other. You see what I'm saying? So it was easy for me to maneuver that way.
Yeah, sure.
And people, and tell people, you know, from the smallest, the little nudge or the little, you know, it's small details that turn into big details.
That's so good. Can we pause right there? I have parents who might be watching who have teen daughters, and even just helping them to understand how small, little, to your point, it's those small, and it's about manipulation. You know, I'm just gonna mush you, or you stupid, or
that's nothing. He always does that. That's funny.
And helping them to understand, you know, what is it about you that you don't understand, that you deserve better, or you deserve more. And in people's family, it varies, right? Across the board, like where that person is, it varies. I can tell you, for me, my father was not a part of my life the way he should have been, right? So for some women, it's what they call daddy issues, right? And so it makes us much more vulnerable, because we're looking for love in all the wrong places. And now here we go. That's how Daddy's Girls was birthed, right? From that. Others have that support system, but it may be something else. I feel like I'm missing something. And so we gravitate, or to your point, I'm just young and I'm impressionable. And now, because I have struck gold, heatedbomb.com, he's more than, I ever would think I would get, right? He wants me. Like, it's all of those things.
He was a looker.
So we have to teach our children and our young girls and our teens what those signs look like. Teach them about the cycle. The cycle is so key, helping them to understand, well, okay, in your relationship, do you see these cycles? What's transpiring? If you can't talk to me, who can you talk to? Helping, we got to teach people how to operate when those situations come up. Because here's the thing, Renee, you had your siblings or your friends to talk to, but if you don't have a support system, you still need to know where you can go, because there is
being so ashamed of the situation.
I was just ready to say that.
You know what I'm saying? Like they were there, but I'm not about to be all kikiing like, yeah, girl, he smushed the hell out of me last
Of
night. Like I'm
course.
not.
Of
So you
course.
know what I'm saying? Like I said, that's why I'm like, oh my God, y'all stuck around because I was horrible. I was horrible for
Sure.
so long, and it's just like we knew you were gonna
Sure.
come around eventually, girl. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
we knew
Sure.
he had your mind. We knew he had your spirit in his back pocket because I
Yeah.
couldn't move without him. I didn't know what left or right was without checking in with him. And I
Yeah.
was and that had just became who I was, and I was just like, oh my God, this
Yeah.
can't be what life is. And just like you said, I was raised in the church too, Tanya, but I'm pretty certain I planned his death several times.
This is my point.
Yeah, I'm not
At
gonna
some
sugarcoat
point in your
like to the
mind,
T
you
where
see
I'm
it
just
played
like, well,
out.
if I do it this way, he
Yeah.
probably wouldn't even, you know what I'm saying? Like boom, 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 boom. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Or
Sure.
secretly wishing that for
Yeah.
every other girl he cheated on me with, she took him from me.
Right. Right.
like,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
oh, you cheated?
This
You don't
keeping
love her?
her.
You don't
Yeah.
want to be with her?
Right. Right.
You don't want? You sure?
You know, we can laugh about it now,
You was
but
with her.
this is
She's
real.
calling my phone. I think she loves you. Go to her
You should
house.
go. Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
with her.
Yeah.
You know
You
what I
know,
mean? It was yeah, crazy. Like you would think seriously that after the occasion, you know what I mean? Because this was all kind of physical, emotional, mental.
yeah.
Wasn't financial because I'm pretty sure I was paying most of the bill,
Right. 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 Right.
even
Sure.
as a young age. But he had my mind.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You thinking to
Yeah.
yourself like, "Dang girl, you was paying the bills and you was you know what I'm saying?" But
Yeah. Sure.
I was so young and impressionable, and at
Yeah.
that time, he just was in control. Like you heard what my
Yeah.
man said. He was giving
Yeah.
that. You heard what
Yeah.
he said. That's what it is. You know what I'm
Renee,
saying? And he
hold on.
always tell me that.
Hold on one second. I want to try and see if we can pull Miss Kathy in with a question. Miss Kathy, if you're listening, I'm going to ask if you can try and answer the question to things that parents can do to help educate their children and their teens about domestic violence. Miss Kathy,
I'm
are
not
you
sure you
there?
can hear me because I
We
keep
hear
hearing
you.
bits and pieces of the conversation. Oh,
We
you hear me? Oh, that's great. Let me talk slowly. Well, again, I've got a lot to say, but trying to answer that question, it starts much younger than teen. It starts with parents valuing their daughters, helping them to be, you know, very much a part of the family, having very positive sense of self-esteem, and understanding the boundaries and the ownership of their body. I think very much we're talking about culture change, and we've seen that our society has been of probably many people say one of the most violent there is on earth. And what we see, of course, is culture change. Many women, many men bringing the ideas of acting a little bit in a responsible way, uh, teaching our children what relationships, age appropriately, of course, what they should be.
Miss Kathy, we're losing you a little bit.
Much, much more public.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna.
I
If
know.
you hear me,
I
I have
think
to
I'm.
put you in the background.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But I think I definitely understand a component of a portion of what I was hearing is that, there is a level of the culture that we're in where everything is fast paced, right? We live everything out on social media. It's okay for us to be graphic and violent and all of those components. I believe that there is a component to that, but there also is the piece of education, right? And I think oftentimes we don't talk about it enough, whether it's happening in our home. We talk about bullying, but we don't talk about what bullying looks like in a relationship, right?
Yep.
As much as we should.
I talks about it.
Right. So there was a question that came that says, how do you have the conversation with your daughter about her father or did you choose not to? Oh, so this is specific to
That's a
you.
good one.
Ooh,
Good question.
that's a good question, Mrs.
Yeah.
Scott.
And before you answer that, Tracy also said, parents, please be mindful to keep talking, but don't criticize, which is hard because some parents are very critical. So how do I
Yes.
not criticize if I'm already a critical parent? Is, it's a fine line. But if you as a parent or maybe you as a parent are uncomfortable even having those conversations, you have people like the worship and wellness team. We can help you find therapists and counselors to get connected to so that they can have those conversations, whether it's the school counselors. We have a lot of school counselors that are a part of even just our team or in our ministry, or that we can connect you to have those conversations if you're a parent and you feel uncomfortable. But Renee, I'm gonna turn that over to you to answer this question. I'm gonna put it back up. How did you have the conversation with your daughter about her father, or did you choose not to?
The conversation has been had. Did I wait until she was an appropriate age to have it? Yes. Because I got my freedom while she was just a toddler. So, you know what I mean? Of course, to her, daddy was the best, you know what I'm saying? The best thing ever. And I didn't taint it. I didn't taint it at all because, like I said, he always played his part for her. So she's going to come up with her own ideals. When it came up to you, was I very, very like, because you have a tendency to put your hands on women and we have a daughter? Yes. But that was never an issue. Let me go on record to say that was never an issue. Mm-hmm. So she does know now. At the ripe age of 17, she's fully aware. No, I didn't tell her the details of how things went down or every given moment of how, you know what I'm saying? But she does know that the reason why we weren't, you know what I'm saying, is because of that. And I told her, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, my mind got gone at 16 and it trickled over to my adulthood. So of course I want to be mindful to her that this can happen early in life. Yeah. You don't have to be 25, 26, 27. You know what I'm saying? Oh, my husband's beating me. No. Yeah. You need to, right now, you need to understand that the toxic. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I had to tell her my story. You see what I'm saying? I had to, because it lesson learned. You're not going to repeat mommy's mistakes. Yeah. So you need to understand, you know what I'm saying? And she still has her own relationship with her dad. Yeah. Because that's what happens. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens between you and mommy. You know what I'm saying? If she ever chose to ask him or have a conversation with him, I do not know. Yeah. You know, but as far as my piece on it, yes, she is aware.
Let me ask you a question. You also have boys, right? Yeah. Do you find value in having conversations about domestic violence with your boys, and if so, why? And if not, why?
Yeah, absolutely. Even as far as to the point, even when I tell, because you had said this earlier too about how when you leave that relationship, it carries on to other relationships, because I found myself being abusive in other relationships because I was abused. Yeah. So because I was used to, let's go. Right. You know what I mean? That's how we're figuring it out. Yeah. On the next relationship, I'm like, boy, you know what I'm saying? Right. And then I have to step back like, oh, this is not a thing. Yeah. If you're with somebody, the first red flag is, I feel like I need to put my hands on this person. It's not gonna work. Yeah, it's not gonna work, because it shouldn't even cross your mind. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Boy and girl. Even tell my daughter, and she's just like, I just want to put my hands on. If he make you feel like you want to do all of that, you gotta go. You gotta go. Yeah. Yeah. You gotta go. And yes, I instill it tremendously in my sons, because they don't know my story because they're young. Right, of course. But but that's early. They got a lot of female cousins and stuff like that. That we don't do that. That's not okay. We don't put our hands on people in general. Yeah. That's instilled early.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Marcus, any thoughts, any comments you want to say?
Um, yes. So I did have a question because I do have a 4-year-old daughter. And mine is about what age do you guys think is a good time to start having these conversations? Because I have an older son, I have a 12-year-old son, and he picks with her sometimes, and it's all sibling, it's all age appropriate, sibling kind of
Right.
stuff. But she'll say stop, and he'll keep going, just picking with her. But I have to tell him like, hey, stop,
Mm-hmm.
stop, right?
Right.
Especially with my daughter, because I want her at a young age to understand that like your words are powerful and your words actually
Yeah.
mean something.
Absolutely. You hit that
Stop
right on the
and knows.
nail. That
Yeah.
immediately. As soon as she says stop, it's over. It's no more
Mm-hmm.
fun and games. Because
Absolutely.
that's gonna carry on with her. And
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna carry on with him. Like, oh, she was just playing. Or he's gonna think, oh, she's just playing. Nah, he needs to know at 12. I don't care if she said no with a giggle behind it. Stop doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I
Absolutely.
think, yeah, it goes, I think the key to understanding we're saying it without the word being said, which is boundaries, helping to
Mm-hmm.
establish what boundaries look like. I'll even go a step further and, to use your example, Marcus, she needs to know that daddy will protect her.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But so does he. He also needs to know that daddy will protect him. But daddy will also correct or protect. And when they
Yeah.
know that that's there, it allows for the room that as they age, that you will be engaged to that. But if they see you as the person that they have to protect themselves from, it'll be less and less information that you're going to get. And so
Mm-hmm.
as a parent, we always want to be in a position that our children feel confident and comfortable enough to speak, but teaching them what those boundaries look like and what happens when boundaries are violated. Because here's the thing, your son is 12, a young African American male. He's
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
he's target numero uno by
Right.
default.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
he even more so has to understand what boundaries looks like,
Yeah, he
because
need to know ain't no gray area,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately.
what
Yeah.
what happens at home will translate into the outside world with my
Yep.
friends, and then it'll be that friend that says I wasn't playing but he was, and he
Mm-hmm.
not.
Not to mention, your 4-year-old needs to also look up at her big brother like a protector as well. She shouldn't ever feel like, oh, I don't want to tell my brother because he might did it. She need to feel like I would go get my big brother. I wish would. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like that's how she
Absolutely.
should feel. I don't even
Yeah,
have to go to daddy because my brother is home. You know
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
what I'm saying? Like that should
Mm-hmm.
already be instilled in her at 4.
Yep.
What you
yeah,
say? Because my brother is right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
yeah,
Like she shouldn't even, you know what I'm saying? Not, oh, I don't want him to pick with me or mess with me. Like instill in him right now that she needs that. She
yeah,
needs that and he needs that. Because
Mm-hmm.
if he starts comforting her, like if he starts being that protector of her, then he'll want that. He'll
To
want that
develop
in
that.
his relationships going
Mm-hmm.
forward. You
yeah.
see what I'm saying? Because
Yep.
like
It's
that,
true.
would you do that to your sister?
Right,
You know what I'm saying? Well, if a man did that to a sister, how would you act? You see what
right.
I'm saying? Like you need to
Yep.
be
Yeah,
able to correlate that to
make
him
that
because he loves
correlation.
her so
Yeah,
much.
yeah. Yeah,
Right.
that's really good. Really good. For those that are watching, I thank you for joining us. If you have questions, if you have any thoughts that you'd like to share, we definitely are open to hearing them. Thank you to the family that's here.
Yeah,
Like I
shout
said,
out to my
domestic violence
family.
is,
If you're
yes,
watching, love you guys. Appreciate the support.
Yeah.
yes, yes. It's just it's trying. I also, but this is worship and wellness where we believe in biblical principles, but with practical steps. I didn't say that in the beginning, but those that know. And I don't want to. I believe it's important to have the practical pieces, knowing when you started talking about red flags. If you in a relationship and it's physical, or the person feels that they need to threaten with physicality, we already know that's a big red flag. Looking for signs of manipulation. If you're feeling like this person is manipulating situations to make you function in a certain way, that's a red flag. And then of course we want to present everything to the Lord, right? Yes, there are scriptures. okay, Holy Ghost, I hear people that may watch this and be like, well, I was praying, but I still was physically abused, or I trust God, but I still went through this situation. And I'm not saying that God was not in your situation, in your circumstance, but I do believe all things work together for the good of them that love and trust the Lord. And so therefore, like right now, Renee, God probably was first thing from your mind, but here you are, we are overcome by our testimony. And so you're able to provide your testimony, which my prayer in us doing this is that someone will hear this and reach out for help.
Yes.
Right. Knowing that there is a way of escape if you are ready for it. And I also believe that there are times that maybe it's not a good time. When I worked as a counselor within the domestic violence office, there were times that it just wasn't a good time for people to be safe. For family members and friends, if your person is telling you, I can't leave right now, you got to trust that. Because depending on what they're dealing with, it may not be a safe time, no matter how much you say, well, you can come here. I wish a blankety blank would. Like we can.
Yes. Oh my God. So true. So true.
Because you don't, some situations are much more dangerous than others. Right. And then here's the other piece. What you can do is give them tools. For anybody that's watching who is either experiencing domestic violence or think you might be in domestic violence, create a safety plan. Right? Family members, you can teach them to create a safety escape plan. What does that look like? Are you a person that wears makeup? Take the lipstick out and put money inside of it. That's a way that you can hide it, because the battle may not go and look in the lipstick. Are you a parent? Create copies of your birth certificates and the children's birth certificates. If you feel like you need to leave or abscond or go to a shelter, there are things that are out there. 211, 911, all of these are resources that you can reach out to, but create a plan before you just jump. Because you never want to do anything by yourself. You don't have to. Let your support system or family members or counselors or whoever you're connected to know what, if you're in that situation, what your plan is, so that you have somebody that's going through the process with you.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Thank you. I don't want to, so it's 8:00. I don't want to leave without giving maybe a scripture or two, but Jakara says this is so good. It allows for trust to develop. That's when we were talking about having the conversation with our children. She said they are the expert of their story. Believe them. That's so true. They are the expert of their story. Renee, before I give scripture, or if Marcus wants to give a scripture or two about safety, is there any final thoughts that you want to share tonight?
Yeah, you know what? There was actually one other red flag that I want young girls to understand and realize, because I speak to my daughter about this a lot. You need, if your man or woman or your spouse or whoever it is you're with wants you to be about them and only them, that is the biggest red flag of them all. Okay. You need to be able to have outlets, like Sister Tanya was saying, people to talk to, people to communicate with. If you see over time it's becoming a thing where you're having less friends or having less outings, and you're seeing your mom a little less and you seeing your sisters a little less, those are definitely red flags, because that should not be happening. Like he or she should be trying to incorporate themselves into your life and how you do things, not pulling you away from the things and the people that you love. And you need to understand that comes in so many different ways, and to pay attention to that. Because it could be, well, Mom, I just saw you. Actually, I haven't seen you in like 3 weeks, Renee, and I used to see you every single day. Like, you have to pay attention to things like that, because like you said, small baby steps turn into big things. So just ladies and young people out there, just remember and pay attention to those things.
And women, and no matter what your age is, and men, no matter what your age is, all of these play on both sides of the fence. I appreciate that, Renee. Marcus, any final thoughts or comments that you want to say?
No, I mean, I just appreciate you, your courage, I know you're on the other side of that, on the other side of it now, but just stepping up, like Pastor Tanya said, prayerfully somebody hears the testimony and they're able to break their cycle. So it's incredible, and I definitely appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, both of you. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. One scripture I want us to walk away with is 2 Thessalonians 3:3. And it says, but the Lord is faithful, and he will strengthen you and protect you from the evil one. And then Psalms 27:1 says, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? And I'm reading a different version where it says, the Lord is the stronghold of my life. Whom shall I be afraid of? Sometimes it's hard for us to connect to the Lord because we see relationships the way we've experienced relationships. But know that if we avail ourselves to him fully, he will guide us, protect us. The Holy Spirit will speak to us, teach us which way to go, which way not to go, and will guard our heart and our mind. That we're not just giving all our heart and all our mind to the next person who does not mean us well. So please just know that there is a way of escape if you are a victim of domestic violence and you feel like you need help. Please feel free to reach out to me, instant message me, the Worship and Wellness team, reach out to Domestic Violence Shelter. There are that was the other thing I was supposed to put on. There are organizations. You can go to dv.org and it will guide you through different things. You can call 211, which provides resources on shelters. Know that you don't necessarily have to stay in that situation, but make sure you don't do it alone. You don't leave alone. There is strength. There's strength in numbers.
And the National Domestic Violence Hotline number, 1-800-799-7233.
7233. I'm gonna put it out.
1-800-799-7233.
Thank you. Hotline for DV. I'm putting that up there now, and that'll be there if anybody needs it. 211 for homeless and DV shelter. All right, I'm putting up 2 resources. This has been an amazing, amazing discussion. ReneeYouTheBomb.com. I appreciate you. And next month is November. Marcus, what we talking about in the month of November?
Men's health awareness.
Okay, now.
Yes. We're gonna have an awesome panel. Be there a couple weeks out. It's gonna be incredible. This part 2. The last one was a couple months ago. Man, we had a good time. Talked about some good stuff. And this month, next month, I expect nothing different. So be there.
Awesome. So
y'all heard them. Be there.
Be there. All right. That was November 4th, right? That's the first. Yep, November 4th, the first Monday in November, and then we'll be back again November
18th, maybe 18th.
The third Monday.
Yes. Look at your calendars.
That I know. I don't know the date, but I know it's the third Monday of the month, and we look forward to seeing you there. Remember, we believe in biblical principles. This is Worship and Wellness, where we believe in biblical principles, but with practical steps. God bless you all. Love you, and good night.
Good night.
Good night.